Good morning, friends. Once again, a warm welcome for online learning in chemistry at Ahmednagar College, Ahmednagar. Last time we had seen some introduction of nucleophilic substitution reaction in the topic halogen derivatives of alkanes for standard 12th. We also discussed certain introduction of SN reaction. SN reaction, as I said earlier, that was substitution nucleophilic. Then also explained you in short what is SN1 reaction, that is substitution nucleophilic unimolecular, where only one molecule is responsible for the rate of the reaction. And the second was SN2 reaction, that is substitution nucleophilic bimolecular. I also told you last time SN1 is also called as SN dash, single dash, and SN2 is called as SN double dash, that is two dashes. So these are different forms of asking a question. Now this SN1, SN2, SN, in short, it is SN1 and SN2 reactions are very important reactions where it explains you how is the reaction taking place. In short, it is a mechanism where it has got the reaction mechanism and energy profile diagram, which is very, very important. How is the attack taking place in this tool? So first we are going to study the SN2 reaction mechanism, that is substitution nucleophilic bimolecular. We will go to the PowerPoint presentation. Just bear with me. We'll go to the PowerPoint presentation and continue from the next slide, which we studied yesterday. Yesterday we shared or we studied the slide on substitution nucleophilic reaction, that is SN reaction. So we'll continue with the same reaction. This is the slide which we studied last time, that is mechanism of SN reaction, where we said in the last two lines, that is two mechanisms are observed in SN reaction, that is SN1 reaction mechanism and SN2 reaction mechanism. Here is SN2 reaction mechanism. If you see, the reaction is between methyl bromide and hydroxyl, that is OH minus ion. Here OH minus, we are obtaining it from either from NaOH or KOH, that is aqueous alkali. We are taking methyl bromide here. Very important. SN2 is taken first. We are studying first because the example is very important here. We are taking a methyl bromide, which is here, and we are treating this with OH minus, and the product we are getting is CS3OH, that is methyl alcohol, or we also call it as methanol, and there is a substitution of this Br by this OH, and that's why Br is A there, Br minus. If you go to the kinetic expression here in this and look at the rate of the reaction, rate is equal to equivalent K, where concentration of methyl bromide and concentration of hydroxyl ion, that is OH minus. Here there are two molecules which are responsible for the rate of the reaction, and that's why it is said it is a one-step reaction and the order is 2. Since there are two molecules which are responsible for the rate of the reaction, it is a second order. The rate of the reaction depends on the concentration of both reactant, that is methyl bromide and OH minus. is called substitution nucleophilic biomolecular. Since there are two molecules, and that's why it is called as substitution nucleophilic biomolecular reaction. Now, what are the important aspects in this SN2 reaction mechanism? The rate of the chemical reaction is influenced by the chemical species taking part in the slow step of its mechanism. Now, which are the two chemical species? One is CS3Br and one is OH minus. So they are very, very important because they are taking part in the reaction. And secondly, it is the slowest step. In the above reaction, only two reactants are present and both are found to influence the rate of the reactions. As said earlier, so these two chemical species are important and are responsible for the rate of the reaction, and that's why it is substitution nucleophilic biomolecular reaction. Now this reaction takes place in a single step and it is a rate determining step, and that's why it is a slow step. So it is a slow step and single step. Now the bonding, the bond breaking and bond forming at the carbon takes place simultaneously. Now if you go to the next slide, you see here this is the reaction mechanism which is showed in a three-dimensional fashion. Now last lecture I explained to you, these are in the plane of the paper, hydrogen and Br. This hydrogen is above the plane of the paper, and this hydrogen which is there in dotted is below the plane of the paper. Now here OH is there, which is a strong nucleophile which is acting or attacking the carbon opposite to Br. So here if you see, there is a carbon. Here if you see, there is a carbon which is a carbon connected with three hydrogen. So this is methyl bromide, and this bromine has to break from this carbon, has to leave when this OH minus is attacking from the backside of this. So I would say there's a backside attack on this carbon. Backside of whom? Bromine. So there is a backside attack. So there is a partial formation of a new bond between carbon OH, and there is a partial breaking of bond between carbon and bromine, and that's why there is minus 1/2 and minus 1/2 charges on this carbon atom. So this is a transition state, very important state. How can you define a transition state? Transition state can be defined as the highest energy level between the reactant and the product, which cannot be isolated. You cannot remove this, you cannot isolate this. And without transition state, none of the reaction takes place. And that's why after there is a backside attack on this carbon, there is partial forming of a new bond and a partial breaking of a old bond. And then you get a product, which is a methyl alcohol and Br minus as a nucleophile. Now here if you see the stereochemistry of this methyl bromide and methyl alcohol, there is exactly opposite. Try to imagine there is a mirror in between this. Don't worry about this transition state. They just concentrate on this structure reactant, that is CS3Br, and this product CS3OH, and try to see there is a mirror here. They are mirror images of each other. Their OH is exactly Br, and here there are mirror images. So there is inversion in the configuration. The configuration is inverted. And what are the silent features of this SN2 reaction mechanism? First of all, it is a single step mechanism with bond breaking and bond forming at the same time. Second, there is a backside attack of this nucleophile. So the nucleophile attacks from the backside because to avoid steric or electrostatic repulsion between the incoming nucleophile and the leaving group Br. And in the transition state, the nucleophile and the leaving groups are bonded to carbon with partial bonds and carry partial negative charges, that is -1/2, -1 on this. So these are the important things. We'll go to the next slide. Now what is the next is the transition state contains pentacoordinate carbon. What is penta? There are 5 carbon atoms, 5 bonds. If you see on this, there are 5. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 pentacoordinate carbon, that is 3 sigma bonds, and they are in one plane, making a bond angle of 120 degrees with each other, and 2 partial covalent bonds along a line perpendicular to this plane. So they are forming a pentacoordinate carbon transition state. Now, in SN2 mechanism of an optically active substrate, the product is found to have an opposite configuration, or also known as Walden inversion, which is the result of the backside attack of the nucleophile, that is 100% inversion in the configuration. As I explained to you, there is 100% inversion, means here it is fully inverted to this component. There is inversion of the configuration, and we say it is 100%. Oh, the inversion of the configuration can be very nicely explained in a conceptual analogy, that is inversion of an umbrella in the wind. Now you hold the umbrella straight when it is raining, so you have to protect your head, body, and straight you hold it, right? Parallel to your body. But if you make perpendicular to the body and there is a strong wind, this umbrella will get inverted in this fashion. So there is a wind which is flowing from this side, from left to right, and you will see the umbrella has become 100% inverted, and this is known as a simple language. What do you mean by inversion of the configuration? So these important aspects are there. Now this question is asked most of the time for 4 marks. So these 4 marks are divided into the reactions here, the kinetic expression, little explanation, how is the attack taking place, and then you have to explain this reaction mechanism in this fashion only, and then you have to write down the silent features, and finally there is an energy profile diagram. Now for energy profile diagram, you can refer your textbooks, which will definitely explain you. There is a single curve, I would say a graph, which is there, and this will tell you that it takes place in one-step reaction mechanism. Now, most of the time, students get confused. What example I have to take for SN2? My dear friends, in a simple words, I will tell you. What this SN2 stands for? This 2 does not stand for any steps of the reaction. It does not stand for any steps of the reaction. You know, in other words, this SN2 stands for 2 molecules, which are 2 molecules or concentration, which are concentration of both, that is methyl bromide and OH minus, which is responsible for the rate of the reaction. And opposite of these 2 is 1, that is, it is a single step reaction. And very important, there is a backside attack of the nucleophile, which is here. And you have to take here a simple example, that is methyl. There are hydrogens here, methyl bromide. In both the examples, in both the cases, SN2 and SN1, we are taking an example of bromine. But one is bromine, that is methyl bromide, and one is tertiary methyl bromide. We'll go to the next. That is SN1 reaction mechanism. Now, what is this SN1 reaction mechanism? The SN1 reaction mechanism, a reaction between a tertiary butyl bromide and a hydroxide ion to give tertiary butyl alcohol. Now, here in this case, we have taken CS3, yes, thrice. CS3, that means 3 molecules of methyl. There is a tertiary carbon atom, and to this tertiary carbon atom, there is a bromine which has been linked, not attacked, but linked, attached, I would say. Now, this is a tertiary. In SN1, we take a bulkier alkyl halide, tertiary alkyl halide, I would say. In SN2, we take a primary alkyl halide, that is methyl bromide. Now, here tertiary butyl bromide is there, treated with OH, and this OH, we are replacing Br, and you get tertiary butyl alcohol and Br minus. Now here in this case, kinetic expression, there are two steps. It is a two-step. SN2 was single step, but SN1 is two step. Exactly opposite it is. SN1 is two steps. It's a two-step reaction, and it is a first order kinetic. Why it is a first order kinetic? Because there is only one molecule, that is tertiary butyl bromide, which is responsible for the rate of the reaction. And that's why we said rate is equal to equivalent constant K CS3 thrice CBr, that is tertiary butyl bromide, which is only responsible for the rate of the reaction. The rate of the reaction depends on the concentration of only one molecule, that is species, that is tertiary butyl bromide. And that's why hence it is called substitution nucleophilic unimolecular. So here in SN1, only one molecule is there, and that's why the order is 1. Now we'll go to the next. That is, how is the reaction taking place? In the first step, that is CS3 thrice CBr, that is tertiary butyl bromide, which is a very slow step. In this, there is a breaking of carbon to Br, and as such, a carbocation is formed as an intermediate. Now, this is a carbocation which has got here carbon CS3. This is in the plane of the paper. This is above the paper and this is below. So, if you see, the angle between them is 120 degrees exactly, and Br minus is there. So, their carbocation is been formed. And in the second step, this carbocation is been attacked by OH minus. This tertiary butyl, that is, I would say, a carbocation which is formed, is been attacked by OH minus. Now, in this case, the attack is possible from any side. If you see, the bond angle between CS3 to CS3 is 120 degrees. So you can attack either from left, either from right, or from down. Here, left, right, or down. So OH can attack any here, and finally you get a product, that is tertiary butyl alcohol. Now, this tertiary butyl bromide reacts with hydroxide by a two steps mechanism. In the first step, formation of carbocation is formed, and the second step, attack of the nucleophile on the carbocation. So, in the slow step, there is carbon to halogen bond in the substrate and undergoes heterolysis. Heterolysis means breaking a bond, that is not symmetrically but unsymmetrically. So how is unsymmetrical heterolysis bond is been there formed? This carbocation has acquired a positive charge and Br minus has acquired a negative. So there is a heterolysis taking place, that is unsymmetrical breaking of the bond. Then it is a fast step. In the fast step, the nucleophile uses its electron pair to form a new bond. So first step is a slow step, but the second step is fast. A moment the intermediate is formed, carbocation, this OH immediately attacks this carbocation and forms a product, that is tertiary butyl alcohol. So a new bond is formed, and finally you get a product, that is tertiary butyl alcohol. Now, what are the silent features of this SN1 mechanism? First of all, it is a two-step mechanism. It is a two-step. First, there is a breaking of carbon to bromine bond. Second, there is attack of the nucleophile, and that's why it is a two-step. First step is slow. Second step is very fast. So, first step is slow. Second step is fast. So, there is a two-step mechanism. Secondly, it is a heterolysis. How is the bond breaking? Heterolysis of carbon to halogen bond is a slow step and also a reversible. So first step, to form planar carbocation intermediate. Very important. Planar carbocation intermediate. The third is the attack of the nucleophile on the carbocation intermediate in the fast second step to form the product. So there is an attack of the nucleophile on the carbocation, and it is a fast step, and finally a product is formed, that is tertiary butyl alcohol. Now, in SN1 reaction proceeds mainly with racemization if carried out at a chiral carbon in an optically active substrate. Now, what do you mean by racemization? Racemization, last time we explained, equimolar quantities. Equimolar quantities. Equimolar quantities means 50% inversion, 50% retention. So this is at a chiral carbon atom in an optically active substance. So racemization is the result of formation of planar carbocation intermediate. So if the nucleophile can attack planar carbocation from either side, any side we said it is, you can have an attack either from left, right, or top or bottom, bottom in this case. You can have 50% inversion in configuration and 50% retention in the configuration. And that's why we said these are nothing but they are enantiomers. Now, what are enantiomers? Last time we learned what are enantiomers. Enantiomers are non-superimposable mirror images. Very important. Non-superimposable mirror. These are emerging. So here in this SN1 reaction mechanism, we get mixture of products where the configuration is 50% inversion and 50% retention, and they are nothing but enantiomers. Now, what are the factors influencing SN1 and SN2 reaction mechanism? First is nature of the substrate. We have seen the nature of the substrate. What was the substrate in SN2? It was a simple substrate, that is methyl bromide. And what was the substrate in this? It was nothing but the tertiary. So here important, in short, I can explain. It is favored in primary Rx and this is favored in tertiary Rx. Now, what is nucleophility of a reagent? In SN2, we have seen a more powerful nucleophile attacks the substrate faster and favors SN2. In SN2, what we do? We took methyl bromide. A more power. And what was the nucleophile? OH minus. And in SN1, the rate of SN1 mechanism is independent of the nature of the nucleophile. It's independent because nucleophile does not react in slow steps of SN1, reacts faster with the carbocation intermediate. Next thing which you should know is what is solvent polarity. What is polarity? Anything we have known in geography. Polarity, North Pole then South Pole. In the same place, pole means opposite. Like poles, if you bring two magnets with a like pole, they will, like pole, repel, but unlike pole, attract. So similarly here, there is a polar positive and negative. So SN2 aprotic, that is non-polar solvents or solvents of low polarity, will favor SN2 mechanism because protic solvent deactivates the nucleophile by stabilizing it. Very important. The second one, SN1 reaction proceeds more rapidly in a polar protic solvents like anions are solvated by hydrogen bonding solvents as it proceeds via formation of carbocation intermediate. So here important is SN1 and SN2 with regard to solvents. These are the most important thing when we are doing a comparative study between SN1 and SN2 reaction with regard to the 6 factors. First is order of the reaction. SN1 is the first order, whereas SN2 is a second order. So that 1 and 2 denotes the order. Then steps involved in this reaction. In SN1, there are 2 steps. In SN2, there is 1 step. In SN1, what is the example we have taken, which I'll add here? One example, what is the example in SN1? SN1 we have taken tertiary butyl bromide, and in SN2 we have taken methyl bromide. Kinetic expression in SN1 it is a unimolecular and SN2 is a bimolecular. So this 1 and 2 order is related to kinetic expression, unimolecular, and so order of the reaction and kinetic expression go hand in hand with SN1 and SN2 as symbolic. Nature of the substrate. Here we have seen nature of the substrate, it is Rx. What is Rx? This is in case of SN1, it is tertiary. So tertiary is more faster than secondary, secondary is more faster than primary. But in case of SN2, Rx, primary is more faster than SN2, that is primary is more faster than secondary, and secondary is more faster than tertiary. So it is exactly opposite, reverse nature of substrate if you compare between SN1 and SN2. The nucleophilicity of the reagents, here it is independent. In the case of SN1, it is independent of nature of the nucleophile, whereas in case of SN2, it is powerful nucleophile. And solvent polarity, in case of SN1, we say polar protic solvents, and in case of SN2, it is aprotic non-polar solvents. So these are some guidelines for you to compare between SN1 and SN2 in order to remember this reaction in a shortcut manner. The next, now that's what we studied: SN reaction, SN2 reaction mechanism, and SN1 reaction mechanism. Now we come to the different. First, we have studied all types of substitution reaction. Then we studied nucleophilic substitution reaction mechanism, where we studied SN, SN1, and SN2 reaction mechanism today. And now we are studying a second type, that is elimination reaction, another type of reaction, that is elimination reaction. Excuse me. Elimination reaction. Now this removal of two atoms or groups from an adjacent carbon atom. In this reaction, elimination means what? Suppose I have got to take a picnic to some place, and now I have only 5 seats, but now I have got 6 people who are interested, students who are interested to come, but I have got only vacancy for 5. Now what to do? Now I have to eliminate one. Eliminate means I have to remove one student. Then what will be the criteria? Everyone has paid fees, everyone has paid everything, filled the form and all. But the criteria for elimination is which is the students which is not regular, who is irregular. So that is the criteria, and try to eliminate that 6 students which is irregular. This is way. So eliminate means I am trying to remove. So removal of 2 atoms or groups from an adjacent carbon atom. Adjacent means very next. Adjacent means very next. Now if you see in this reaction here, there are 1 and 2 carbon atoms. So one is alpha. Why alpha? Because to this alpha carbon atom, halogen is attached. And second is next to is beta. So there is alpha, beta carbon atoms which are, so they are next. Immediate. So in what do you mean by adjacent? Adjacent, in a simple words, Ahmednagar College. Who is in the vicinity of Ahmednagar College? If you go on the exactly opposite, there is CSRD. So CSRD is adjacent to Ahmednagar College. If you go to the next other side, MSCB office. MSCB office is in the adjacent to Ahmednagar College. So in simple word, immediate. I'm talking of important landmarks. So in this geographical terms, but here in this organic chemistry, carbon is there, and the next carbon may be, there would be one more carbon on this side also, but there could be one more carbon, this one alpha. So in case of one alpha, there could be 2 beta carbon atoms, one on the left hand. So I will call it as beta and beta dash. So here in this elimination reaction, we are removing 2 atoms or groups from adjacent carbon atom. Now why we are removing this? In order to satisfy the valency of each carbon. The valency of each carbon is how much? 4. So there is a carbon has got 4 valency, hydrogen has got 1 valency, halogen has got 1 valency, oxygen has got 2 valency, nitrogen has got 3. So we call it as monovalent, divalent, trivalent, and tetravalent. So in this case, here but how to satisfy the valencies? Very important. Now in this dehydrohalogenation, D means what? Removal. Dehydro means removal of hydrogen. Dehydrohalogenation means removal of hydrogen and halogen together. So removal of 1 hydrogen and 1 halogen atom from adjacent carbon atom gives us an alkene. I am removing at the same time 1 hydrogen from the adjacent carbon atom and 1 hydrogen from the halogen carbon atom. I would say in a simple, this alpha carbon is known as halogen carbon atom. Why? Because to this carbon, halogen is attached. To this carbon, halogen is attached. And that's why we'll call this as halogen carbon atom. And to this halogen carbon atom, there is one more carbon, which is beta carbon atom. So there is an alpha carbon atom to which halogen carbon atom is attached, and there is a beta carbon atom. So when halogen is being removed from here, at the same time, there is a hydrogen which is removed. So the removal of hydrogen and halogen is known as dehydrohalogenation reaction. So removal of one hydrogen and one halogen atom from the adjacent carbon atom gives us an alkene. Now, if you see here in this reaction, alkyl halide is heated with alcoholic KOH. My dear children, we always get confused with alcoholic KOH and aqueous KOH. Aqueous KOH, aqueous alkali, maybe NaOH or KOH, will always give us alcohol. Whereas this alcoholic KOH, alcoholic potassium hydroxide, which is also a strong alkali, will always give us alkene. So here, in this reaction, the alkyl halide is heated with alcoholic KOH. It undergoes beta elimination. Why it is called as beta elimination? Because there is a hydrogen which has been lost from the beta carbon atom. So removal of hydrogen from beta carbon and halogen atom from alpha carbon. Hence, this reaction is also called as beta elimination reaction. Now, here in this case, you have taken a base. Base could be OH minus, any base. Like now in this case, OH minus, when I say this OH can come from either potassium or sodium. But in this case, we will only consider alcoholic KOH, that is potassium hydroxide. Now you take this is a base, alcoholic KOH, treat this with alkyl halide. This is in general form. So there will be loss of H and X. So this H, that is hydrogen, that is hydrogen will go with the base, and that's why it is, say, KOH, right? KOH is formed. Here it is, I would say base is there, KOH is here, which is formed KOH. So K is there. This K will pick up this X and forms KX also. That is one possibility is there, which is forming. And this OH and this H forms H2O. That is also possible. So here it is, alkene has been formed, which is important. And finally, you get a base with H. That is also possibility. Basically, it is forming, in simple word, this alcoholic KOH, when it is forming here, consider this KOH is here, and this is the reaction which is there. So KX will form that KCl or KBr, whatever it is, and finally you get water molecule, and there is a loss of a hydrogen and halogen at the same time and forming an alkene. So here is an example. It is given ethyl bromide. What is it? Ethyl bromide. When ethyl bromide is treated with alcoholic KOH and heated, when ethyl bromide is heated with alcoholic KOH and heated, you get KBr and H2O. So hydrogen is lost not from here, this carbon from here. So hydrogen is lost from this carbon and forming an OH and forming a water molecule. And finally, there is a formation of an alkene. And this alkene, in this case, will form ethene. And this ethene is forming CH2, which is left here, single bond CH2. But it has to have the valency of 4 each, which the fourth valence has been satisfied by this shared double bond between the two carbon atoms. And that's why we get an alkene, that is CH2 double bond CH2. The next is, if there are 2 or more non-equivalent beta hydrogen atom in a halide, then this reaction gives a mixture of products according to Sedzeff's rule. Now, what is the Sedzeff rule? In short, now concentrate on this example 2-bromobutane. Now there is a alpha carbon atom to which the halogen is attached. And to this alpha carbon atom, there are 2 adjacent carbon atoms. One is beta 1 and beta 2. Beta 1 is there, which is having 2 hydrogen atoms, and beta 2 is having 3 hydrogen atoms. Now, Sedgwick rule is somewhat like of Markovnikov rule. That Markovnikov rule, when we consider with addition reaction. But if you try to little correlate, it somewhat resembles there, but not exactly 100%. Here it is removal. Here it is removal. Now in beta 1 carbon, there is 2 hydrogens, and in beta 2, there are 3 hydrogens. Now here the reaction will give you mixture of products. First, I would say when 2-bromobutane is treated with alcoholic QH heated, you get loss of beta 2 hydrogen atom. Now, what is beta 2 hydrogen atom? Which is here, beta 2 hydrogen atom. So, one hydrogen is lost. So, what is remaining? CH3, which is here. CH2, there is no change. CH is there because Br and hydrogen is removed. So, HBr is formed as a byproduct. So, here CH remains single bond CH2. Now, the valency of this carbon and this carbon is deficient by 1. So this has to, so the double bond is satisfying this valence, which is here, and here you get but 1 in. In the second, there is a loss of beta 1 hydrogen atom. Hydrogen atom is lost here, because here in the first step you get but 1 in, and the second reaction is but 2 in. Now here the hydrogen is lost from here. As a result, the hydrogen, when you lose, here what remains is CH3, which is as it is. CH is as it is. Double bond CH. So Br and hydrogen is removed from the adjacent carbon atom, that is beta 1, and CH3 remains. So you get but 2 in. Now here, because of the Sedgwick rule states that when there is a loss of hydrogen from the adjacent carbon atom, you should, there is a loss from the adjacent having less number of hydrogens. Now here, beta 1 has got less number of hydrogen compared to beta 2. And that's why, according to Sedgwick rule, but 2 in is a major product, whereas but 1 in is as a minor product. And this is nothing but a second example of the elimination reaction. So here, Sedgwick rule. In dehydrohalogenation reaction, the preferred product is that the alkene which has greater number of alkyl groups attached to doubly bonded carbon atoms. Sedgwick rule elimination is preferred formation of more highly stabilized alkene during an elimination reaction. The stability order of alkyl substituted alkene is as follows. If you see here, there are different orders which goes. So stability is preferred on the substitution type of reaction. Now here in elimination reaction and substitution reactions, in nature of Rx, that is alkyl halide, in case of elimination reaction, it is tertiary alkyl halide more preferred. In case of substitution reaction, it is primary alkyl halide more preferred. The strength and size of the nucleophile, in case of elimination, it is bulkier electron rich species prefers act as a base by obstructing protons, favors elimination, wherein substitution reaction, substitution is favored in case of comparatively weaker base, which prefers as a nucleophile. Now, in reaction conditions, lesser polar solvents, high temperature favors elimination reactions, whereas in substitution, reaction conditions lowers the temperature, polar solvent favors substitution reactions. So these are something to be. The next reaction is with active metals. Now we know there are active metals like sodium, magnesium, cadmium, and so on. Now they readily combine with alkyl chlorides, bromides, or iodides to form compounds containing carbon-metal bonds. These are also known as organometallic compounds. What are organic metallic compounds? Basically, these are the compounds which are having an alkyl group. A metal is there which has been fusing. Now here, if you see, there is a simple reaction, that is reaction with magnesium. This reaction with magnesium is known as Grignard's reagent. Here, when alkyl halide, that is Rx, is treated with magnesium, that is a metal, in a dry ether as a solvent, it gives us alkyl magnesium halide. And this alkyl magnesium, why alkyl? Because there is R. Why magnesium? Because Mg is there. And halide because there is an X. So RMgX, it is known as alkyl magnesium halide. If this R is been substituted by methyl or ethyl, it becomes methyl magnesium chloride. X is Cl. So this is a Grignard's reagent. This is a Grignard's reagent. Why Grignard is the scientist who invented this reagent, and that's why it is known as, named after him. It's a Grignard's reagent. So this, if you see, it is an addition type of reaction. There is an addition of magnesium in it. Or I would say it is a sandwich reaction, because magnesium has been sandwiched between alkyl group and a halide group. So alkyl magnesium halide is also known as Grignard's reagent. So you take ethyl iodide, treat with magnesium in case in presence of dry ether is very important. If there is condition dry ether is not there in your answer paper, half marks is deducted. And that's why this has very important role. Why dry? Because, for example, if you take sodium or magnesium, dry ether is very, very important. And I will explain you when we are studying Wood's reactions, why dry ether is been necessary, very important. Dry ether means dry conditions. So ethyl iodide treated with magnesium metal, in case of presence of dry ether, you get ethyl magnesium iodide as a Grignard reagent. So Grignard reagents are very reactive compounds. Because of to avoid, now first of all, Grignard's reagents are very reactive compounds. And in this case, if you use aqueous or non-dry conditions, it will be more reactive because there is a high affinity for water, like sodium. Sodium is preserved under kerosene. And why? Because if it is kept under water, it will explode. High affinity for water, hydrogen. And that's why it is preserved under kerosene. And that's why this Grignard reagent is also very reactive, and they react with water or compounds containing hydrogen attached to electronegative element, just like of sodium. So RMgX is there. If you take methyl alcohol, what will happen? See here, you get a hydrocarbon Rx, that is RH, and magnesium halide and O, that is, I would say, a substituted product of magnesium form is there. Similarly, if you take with ammonia, this explains you the reactivity with hydrogens. These two, and that's why if you take ethyl magnesium iodide, finally you get ethane, and you will get magnesium complex, I would say. And also with ethyl magnesium iodide treated with ammonia, you get a magnesium complex. So which explains you the affinity of hydrogen for magnesium. As we said, magnesium is also very reactive. Here also sodium is also reactive, and that's why sodium, when treated with alkyl halide. Now this reaction which we are studying now is a Wood's reaction. Wood's reaction. Woods is the name of a scientist which invented this reaction. And in this silent feature is, you start with alkyl halide in excess. So in this case, it is taken more than one, that means 2 molecules of alkyl halide, that is Rx, treat with 2 molecules of sodium. Here again, condition is dry ether. So sodium also has got a high affinity for hydrogen or water. If you bring any contact of water and sodium together, you see there is an explosion taking place. And that's why dry ether is a condition, and once again here. And here alkyl halide treated with 2 molecules of sodium in presence of dry ether, you get higher member of alkane. That is, if you suppose you have here, we'll study there, ethyl bromide, you get a higher member of an alkane, that is RnR, which is an alkane, and 2 molecules of sodium halide. Now here example is ethyl bromide taken 2 molecules in excess. Take excess of sodium, you in presence of dry ether, you get even higher member of alkane, that is butane. So you start with ethyl bromide, you end up with butane and 2 molecules of sodium bromide. If you go further, methyl bromide is treated with ethyl bromide. Now here, one is odd and one is even. Odd is methyl bromide, even is ethyl bromide. Sodium member, here you get different mixture of products. You get coupling of methyl bromide, two molecules, and that's why you get ethane, that is CS3, You get combination of methyl bromide and ethyl bromide, and that's why you get propane, coupling of CS3 and CS3 to H5. And finally, you get a coupling of two molecules of C2Br together, and that's why you get from ethyl bromide, you get butane, that is CS3, CS2. Sorry, it is here. Here there is a mistake. It should be CS2 here, and finally it is CS3. So it is there a butane. Now we have finished most of the topic of complete methods of preparation of alkyl halides, reaction of alkyl halides, mechanism alkyl halides, and different reactions, further elimination, addition, substitution reaction, all reactions of alkyl halides or haloalkanes we have studied. What we'll study next time is reaction of haloarenes. Hope, my dear friends, because why you have my friends? You are children or students are friends. If you're if you're like friend relationship, that is much better. Why? Because you, with the friendship, become much closer. And with this friendship, I would like to appeal to you, try to use maximum time in studies as you are in lockdown period, as because of this pandemic. Keep praying and also try to be at home, study well, and remain safe. Thank you. Have a good day.